Out YouTube, it's Wes here, WH Diesel Services at Wakefield. I just thought I'd show you this job I've got on the go at the moment. It's Ford Transit. It's got misfire on number 1 cylinder. I've actually found the fault. I just thought I'd show you this test and show you it's a cylinder leak down test. What I'm going to carry out here, I'll check all the cylinders, show you show you where it's leaking. So I'll just get you out, I'll get you in on it. Yeah, so what I did with this one, it come in with a misfire. So I actually diagnosed it with my pico scope. First off, I did a relative compression test. It's a test where you put an amp clamp, 2000 amp clamp around the starter motor cable, and you check the amp draw, the amp peaks. As you crank the engine over, disconnect all the injectors, so you're stopping the engine from running, and you're checking the amp peaks as the engine is turning over. As your cylinder is coming up, trying to compress the air, it's drawing more amps through the cable. So you can actually pick it up and you can identify if you've got a cylinder that's leaking somewhere. So I actually found it with the pico scope on the relative compression test, and then I thought, right, we've got a problem. So I actually got me, after that test, I wanted to confirm it, so I got me WSP pressure transducer out, and what that is, what that does, you can take these glow plugs out, and you can fit one of these dummy glow plugs into the glow plug port there, like this. I'll just screw it in now, and then you can plug a fitting in, plug a pipe straight into your pressure transducer, and then your pressure transducer converts it into electrical voltage, which sends it back to the scope, so you can actually see it on a graph. And while I was carrying out this test, I found that number 1 cylinder was only made. What you do first, you have to disconnect all the injectors, because you don't want the engine to start up, because you'll end up knackering up your pressure transducer if it fires up, because there's a lot more than 34 bar pressure in a cylinder when it fires. It's like, I think there's like over 200 bar in them cylinders when the engine's running. So yeah, so I carried out the test, and what I found was number 1 cylinder was only making 19 bar, while numbers 2, 3 and 4 cylinders, they were making 24 bar. So we've obviously got a leak somewhere, a leak in cylinder 1. I wasn't sure whether it were leaking past the rings, the valves. I mean, it could have been an head gasket leaking. I wasn't sure, so that's when I thought, right, well, I'll bring out my cylinder leak down tester, which is this tool, and I just thought I'd show you the test I'm about to carry out now. So what we've got shop air plugged into the workshop. So you've got 6 bar, but you see you can adjust it with this little regulator here. What you do, you turn it up, So what have we got there? 6.5 bar. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 6.5 bar. And then what we do, I've already marked up the damper so we can find the position of the engine. We set number 1 TDC. So there we are, set at number 1 position, top dead centre on the firing stroke, and then we'll plug the gauge in. But when you do this, you want to make sure you keep hold of you lock the engine up, because you're blowing 6.5 bar straight down into that cylinder with the valves closed. It's going to try and force the cylinder down, so keep hold of it, plug it in. See, that's what it does. So you just got to be careful. And we can see we've got a leak here looking at the gauge. So we've got 6.5 bar coming in, and you can actually hear the leak, and you can look at the cylinder leakage gauge, which is actually dropped down a bit. So we're getting like a 20%, well, what is it, 15% leak in that cylinder. And to confirm it, we've got a little whistle test, and we can put this over each inlet port. You can see how that one's nice and sealed. Come over to this one. There you go. We've got a leaky inlet valve. See, that one's nice and sealed. That one is leaking. So we can also, while we're in this position, while we've got 6.5 bar in that cylinder, we can also make sure the crankcase is sealed. Undo your crankcase breather pipe, block it off with a little bung, block it off so all your pressure, if it is losing pressure down into the crankcase, you can all the pressure is going to come out of the dipstick, and you can test that. Which it is leaking a little bit into the crankcase, which you do get anyway. You do get a little bit of leakage down past the rings. You know what I mean? 6.5 bar, it's quite a lot of pressure with the you know, it's going to find its way past the ring gaps, but I don't think that's a problem. I think we'll get that on every cylinder. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to test it, which we could really